Hello, we are from Syndicate 7. My name is Rama Yuri Margareta.
My name is Cipta Gusti Batara and North.
Hello, my name is Roberta Widyarini Pangestika.
My name is Syana Ansaraini Putri Akbar.
To tackle the climate change issues, the United Nations held a Paris conference that resulted in an agreement to limit global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius. In addition, the United Nations has compiled 17 Sustainable Development Goals as a global development agreement, which includes goals for affordable and clean energy as well as climate action. The Indonesian government is committed to the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals by issuing a government regulation that targets a renewable energy mix of 23% by 2025 and 31% by 2050. Pertamina, as Indonesia's largest state-owned enterprise, fulfills the energy demands from the world's largest population through an integrated business and operation from upstream to downstream. Following the global community aspiration to reduce greenhouse gases emissions, Pertamina outlooks the environmental, social, and governance aspects in every line of business and operations. Pertamina also accelerates the energy transition through a master plan program that consists of 8 initiatives. Number 1 is the Green Refinery project that Pertamina built in Pelaju and Cilacap. Number 2 is a bioenergy project that converts biomass to bioethanol. Number 3 is the geothermal project, which is the monetization of Pertamina's geothermal assets through independent power producers that can develop the project to 1.3 gigawatts. Number 4 is the green hydrogen project that Pertamina targets to utilize its geothermal field with a total potential of 8,600 kilograms per day. Number 5 is the electric vehicle battery and energy storage system. Pertamina has partnered with battery technology providers to manufacture battery and energy charging infrastructure for electric 2-wheeled and 4-wheeled vehicles. Number 6 is a gasification project that Pertamina optimizes for gas utilization in transportation, household, and industries across Indonesia. Number 7 is the New and Renewable Energy Project, where Pertamina develops local solar power generators in the high solar radiation area. Besides that, Pertamina manufactures solar cells through a strategic partnership. Lastly, the Circular Carbon Economy Project that Pertamina plans to capture, utilize, and store carbon, also known as CCUS, into the areas.
Now, we would like to present the scenario planning of PT Pertamina. First of all, we will explain about the concept of scenario planning. Scenario planning is strategic planning method that organizations use to make flexible long-term plans, which includes the process to stimulate imaginative and creative thinking. Scenario planning is needed to incorporate the significant amount of uncertainty and yet to emerge issue in the future to be managed proactively by the organization. In the scenario planning, there are 5 main stages. The first one is orientation. In this stage, we do conduct the background research to determine the key focal issue. The second one is exploration, where we identify the driving forces and critical uncertainty influencing the key focal issue. The third one is scenario and narrative creation. We do selection of critical uncertainty to frame the scenario matrix and create narrative for each scenario. The fourth stage is option and consideration, where we identify the implication and corresponding option for each scenario. And the last one is integration, where we develop the early warning signal and use scenario as part of management processes. Stage 1 is orientation. In this stage, we conduct background research based on the company profile of PT Pertamina, which is related to its core business, which potentially affect the decision making today. As we know that PT Pertamina has been dedicating its service to provide our country, Indonesia, with energy supply for around 6 decades. It was established in 1957 with a name as PT Eksploitasi Tambang Minyak, which then changed its name to PT Perusahaan Minyak Nasional or PT Pertamina. Currently, the company plays a strategic role in 5 sub-holdings of upstream, gas, refinery and petrochemical, power and new renewable energy, and commercial and trading sub-holdings. As part of the country's contribution in maintaining the sustainability of the earth to reduce carbon emission, Pertamina took part in the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP26 last year in Glasgow, Scotland. The United Nations Sustainable Goal Development 2030 stated that oil and gas play an important role in reducing the greenhouse gas emission in order to support Indonesia's national determined contribution. Pertamina focused on the 10 points from the Sustainable Goal Development as global policy and the national policy, which is the regulation from President of Republic Indonesia number 59 year 2017 concerning the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals achievement. It is as the company's core guidelines in carrying out company's planning in order to tackle the climate change issue and achieve sustainable energy. Based on the given information, we determine the key focal issue, which we elaborate to the scenario planning, which is what is the impact of Indonesia government commitment in reducing the greenhouse gas emission to at least 29% by 2030 to PT Pertamina's business.
Stage 2, exploration. Okay, now we are going to identify driving forces in Pertamina case. As mentioned previously, in the exploration section, we will discuss the driving forces that might impact the key focal point. So we divided them into organizational, transactional, and contextual environments. Organizational is more on the inside of a company, so the driving forces are human capital, operation management, business development. The Indonesia Presidency G20 Forum, Energy Efficiency, Corporate Value, and ESG Rating. Transactional is related to Pertamina's external shareholder. Therefore, the driving forces are the public's awareness of energy efficiency and renewable energy, competitors in the same field, system planning, investment risk, and technology supplier. Last is the contextual environment, which are the economic growth, regulation, economic, and political circumstances, key energy policies, technology, and innovation advancement. We then map the driving forces based on the severity of the impact and uncertainties or its force toward Pertamina's ability in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Based on our discussion, we determine the technology advancement and government regulation to have the biggest effect because when the regulations are clear and the technology upgrades are available, it can increase Pertamina's productivity in developing renewable energy source, therefore increasing Indonesia's ability to achieve its 2030 target of at least reaching that 29% marks.
So, now I will explain stage 3, which is scenario and narrative creation part. After determining the main criteria, we can divide the scenarios into 4 sections based on the government's decision to apply highly controlled regulations and the development of technology. We plot the criteria into the matrix where the technology is on axis Y, where the higher is the faster the technology development and the lower is the slower the technology development for Pertamina. As for the axis X, it represents the regulations, where getting to the right, the regulations will be more regulated and controlled, and as you get to the left, the regulations are much more loose and not strictly monitored. We also give each scenario a label based on Pertamina's products to categorize based on the grade of each scenario. In the most preferable scenario of clearly stated regulation and highly technology advancement, which we call the Pertamax Turbo scenario, we can expect Pertamina's business restructuring, gasification development, more renewable energy power plant development all over Indonesia, and investment assurance for those projects. Yet, if the regulations are clearly stated that the technology development is slow, which is the premium scenario, Pertamina might be lose competition where other competitors that are working in developing renewable energy can seem more attractive and receive the investment for their projects. This will result in an optimal achievement for conventional technology and the ineffective energy transition that resulted in strict bureaucracy. If the regulations are loose, but the technology development is rapid, like in Pertamax scenario, Pertamina might be overwhelmed by the uncontrollable investment, even though the company will receive improvement in managing the projects. Those regulations will result in lack of monitoring and review process of projects, which might be dangerous and disrupt the projects with unregulated technology. And the last scenario, which is the least preferable scenario of technology development being slow and regulations loose, which we categorize as petrol scenario, Pertamina will face lagging in business development and innovation in their projects, which will contribute to Pertamina high GHG emission. And next, to get a glimpse of each scenario, we can create a narrative for each quadrant. For the Pertamax Turbo corner, by developing integrated and extensive gas infrastructure, PT Pertamina has massively contributed to support gasification development, which result in a reduction of GHG emission by up to 29%. These actions indicates that PT Pertamina has high commitment in limiting the global warming and achieving energy sustainability. Then, for the premium corner, government's consideration on planning to ban conventional vehicles and imposing a carbon tax on the transportation sector, along with oil and gas refinery, will lead to more investment into electrical vehicle manufacturing and supply chain. PT Pertamina's biofuel might not be an attractive investment, especially if high CPO price persists. The Pertamax corner, PT Pertamina has set the GHG emissions reduction program by utilizing the advanced technology and focusing on optimization of gas usage. But due to lack of regulations which are managing the implementation of SDG, there is an uncontrollable investment and ineffective business development that has been executed. And the last one is for the petrolhead corner. Currently, the GHG emissions become main concern by Indonesia people because its effect is increasingly worrying. In addition, PT Pertamina is still struggling to accelerate the gasification development, which is under progress and is also experiencing difficulties in adopting new technology.
The next stage is the option consideration. After determining the possible scenarios based on the driving forces, we can map out the possible implications along with the options to manage them. On Pertamax Turbo side, with the rapid technology development and highly controlled regulations, Pertamina might be faced with its projects generating a cleaner environment, employees layoff due to different skills and talent needed for management and renewable energy sources, receiving recognitions for sustainability efforts, as well as increase in business profits. To manage those implications, Pertamina will need an improvement in management structure, technology optimization, and circular carbon economy. On the premium side, with highly controlled regulation met with the slow progress of technology, Pertamina will be faced with investors shifting their investment towards competitors with more attractive projects, decrease in profit, and stagnation in renewable energy projects development. To manage those, Pertamina should maintain good relations with the government, focus on the development of bioelectricity energy, and collaborate with other sectors. On the Pertamax side, When the regulations are loose and technology development is high, Pertamina might be faced with chaos in their system planning, generating renewables growth, and maintaining high security, accessibility, and affordability of energy. Therefore, Pertamina has the options of improving their integrated system, collaborating with SOE, creating standardization for financial investment, and creating a monitoring system for the renewable energy projects. Lastly, on the Pertalite side, where the regulations are not clearly stated and technology development are slow, the implications that might happen are Pertamina producing waste that resulted in poor quality environment, low business productivity, and stagnation in generating new source of revenues, which can discredit the name of Pertamina as the energy source of Indonesia. Pertamina has the options to establish innovation improvement, benchmarking to other energy companies, and maintaining community engagement through ESG initiatives. And the last stage would be the integration. In this last part, in the integration section, we elaborate on the early warning signs that can give signs for Pertamina in which directions the company is going so that they can focus the planning and execute them to that particular scenario. On Pertamax Turbo scenario, the early warning signals for when the company is going towards a future where regulation is strictly controlled and technology development is rapid is green taxonomy has been developed and implied. Fossil fuel-based power plant has been retired or banned. Rapid renewable energy installation all over Indonesia, improvement in Indonesia investment climate, and shift in the supply and demand curve for renewable energy. In the premium scenario, Pertamina can anticipate by monitoring the numbers of conventional vehicles, decline in electric vehicles price, and many competitors entering the EV industry in alignment with the climate targets, as well as exploring the possibility of developing advanced bioenergy technology. When regulations are loose and the development of technology is high, like the Pertamax scenario, the early warning signs Pertamina should look out for are many energy businesses has been established in the country, transparency in policy-making process for stakeholders in the industry, businesses periodically included gas emission report to their stakeholders, as well as increase in the high-quality, locally made technologies. And the last scenario, the Pertalite scenario, when regulations are loose and the technology development is slow, the early warning signals are the country's decarbonization progress is still far from the target, energy usage is still dependent heavily on fossil fuels, and slow progress on regulation establishment and investment climate improvement towards renewable energy. So that's it from all our syndicates. Thank you.
We are enthusiastic at unleashing various potentials, accelerating progress together, and achieving shared goals. Join the quest, energizing sustainable future. Energizing you.